So in this section, I'm really just repeating what we did in the last couple of sections to show how you're going to stitch the next colour. It's completely up to you what order you do the colours in. As I said, I wouldn't do a really small block at first, and if you start near the centre, it just makes your counting so much easier. Within that, you can choose what you like. So I would normally probably carry on with this same colour that we had here in order to stitch the rest of the body, but to make it more interesting for the video, I'm going to start a new colour. So this circle symbol is, we look at the key, it says that's 814 deep red, and that's this colour. So again, going to pull out the strands, making sure to pull from the numbered end, and measure 24 inches approximately on the ruler. Well, cut it, and then you remember we have to pull out one strand. Take the one strand, gently pull, loosen up the remaining 5 strands and tie them around your skein for future use. So remember, we double the thread up like this. Take the 2 loose ends that have been brought together, lick them so they go through the needle, and sometimes they split so much you just sort of have to cut the end of it and start again if you can't get them to thread. Which I'm going to have to do now because it was buckling a bit then. Just going to snip the end off there and try again. There we are. Now this is this symbol here. I'm going to go down the tail and do this section. So I'll start here, which is 3 stitches above this stitch here. You can count along. Remember the counting and count across stitch. So 1, 2, 3. This point here is this point here on our pattern. So we're not stitching these 2. So we'll do 1, 2, 3. And I'm going to start here. Do my loop start by putting the needle through the loop at the other end and just pulling it tight. And that is so easy to then have a secure thread. So I'm going to do half cross stitches all the way down this section of the tail in the same way that we did last time. Here we are. We're just stitching down, making sure it's meeting the stitches that are already there at the place we expect it to. I'm now stitching alongside this colour. So the different reds are going to give the shading effect on the dragon. I'm going to colour in what I've done, even though it's only in half stitches, but it'll make it clearer to see what I've done. That's 2 stitches there. Can colour in that bit. I'm going to carry on to the end of this section. Another 2 half stitches here. Coming through the top of this one, we're going to do 3 along here. So that's that 3. I'm just double checking that I'm right. So I've got a gap here, that is that bit. So I'm on the right row here. to do this next 3. Remember, I'm keeping all my under half cross stitches going in the same direction, and that's going to make it nice and neat. And we've done it. 2 here, and 3 here. Colour when I've done them. There, so I'm going to leave it at this section here. We've got this extra bit here of this colour at the end. Because I haven't done this area first, if I wanted to use the same thread to jump across to here, I would have to carry my thread at the back this distance. And you don't want to be doing that. It will show through the holes and it will lead to a messy back. So if I wasn't doing the video, I would have carried on this colour first and then been ready to carry the thread here underneath these stitches as we showed before to finish off the end. But if you are in the position or you just need to jump, it's better to either wait until you've got the colour done, or in this case I'm just going to go back and then I'll do a little bit at the end of that colour when I get there. So I'm going to go back here. I don't need to colour it in because I have already, and just complete all these half cross stitches. Make sure I'm not forming any knots on the back of your fabric. My thread's getting a bit twisted here, so I'll let it untwist. So this is nice and simple now, just covering the areas we've done, and I'll get to the end of the thread so that we can show finishing it off again. Getting there. I'll tighten my fabric a bit as it can start to loosen in the hoop slightly. Check the back. Oh, struggling to get it in through that bit. Is that right? No. There we are. Okay, and I'm going to think about where I'm going to go with a little bit of thread I've got left. And because I've got a bit much, I don't want to waste the thread. So I'm going to start this corner here of the wing, which is in the same colour. So because I've decided that, I'm going to come up this stitch. Instead of doing this stitch, I'll come up on this side of this stitch just to end my thread nearer to where I'm going to go. So again, this causes a neater back if you are planning a bit where you're going to go. This is not advanced planning, just being a bit mindful of thinking, oh yeah, I'm going to want to stitch here. So I'm going to do this stitch like this to finish off that one before this one. Finish off this one, and that leaves me perfectly placed to pull my needle in here to do this stitch. There we are. I'm going to come down here and just do this corner of the wing. So that's these 2 stitches I've just done. And I'm going to do this bottom stitch here, so that's there, and then come up, getting towards the end of my thread now. Needle in the right place, there we are. And the last couple of half stitches, I'll just split my thread like that, there we are. There. So I've done this area and this area, and I'm now going to finish off my thread the same way as before. I've got a bit less on my needle this time. So just go under nearby stitches, just pick, let's see what I'm doing closely, just pick your needle underneath them. So sometimes it'll split the thread a bit, that's okay, and pull it through. I got enough on, I just about got enough on my needle to do a few stitches in the other direction. Sometimes I run out of thread and I can't do the turning back thing, which is fine. It's just me being extra careful, really. I come back again. There we are. And I have finished off that thread. If you want a really, really neat back, then you'd need to be finishing off. I have model stitches that just do amazing work with doing the finishing off in straight lines at the back. I'm not that neat, so I tend to just sort of go in a bit of a diagonal if it's nearer. It's still basically keeping it very neat and free of large stitches jumping large distances or knots or anything like that. So we've done these 2 sections of colour, one red and one darker red, and that is how the whole of the cross stitching for the piece is going to work. Simply going to carry on doing the different colours for the different symbols and work through the entire area of the dragon. So I'm going to do that off camera, and I'll come back when I've got most of the dragon done. In the head, we've got these fractional stitches. Oops. Got these fractional stitches here in the eyes and in the teeth. So which are shown by these really small symbols. Don't do those now. We're going to see how to do those in a future video. And don't do any of the lines for the back stitch. All the back stitch is always done after cross stitch, because you want to lie on top. So just going to do all the big symbols for the cross stitch in exactly the way that we've shown, and then we will come back and start working on the other sorts of stitches. See you there.